Hello, friends. How are you today? Well, today I want to talk to you about the Schumann Resonance astrology aspects that are key and a shift in the matrix. There was a lot of energy, as y'all know, on the Schumann Resonance, and it was really potent and intense. Today's chart shows that. The main wave, it's super interesting. The image took a couple times to develop, and it's really fascinating because the core image, in my view, which occurred between about 11 a.m. and about 22 on the chart, to me it looks like part of an elephant. And that occurred in the same location as the crown of thorns. Now, it's really interesting because I've been tracking the images in the Schumann Resonance, and I've been looking to see how would that crown of thorns energy develop. And then for the last 3 or 4 days, there's been nothing showing up in that area until just now, this elephant image. So there was other energies, but it didn't seem to be a continuation of the crown of thorns energy. And I just thought I was just watching it. So what's the meaning here? The part of the elephant that shows, in my view, is the first foot and the head and trunk. So the foot is part of the energy that goes the whole chart, 0 to 40 hertz. And then the head with the long trunk, the trunk goes down to 40 hertz. But it's so interesting because the amplitudes, that where they spike the highest in the multi-days of this energy were on this elephant image, but they spiked not at the white resonance going from 0 to 40 hertz. They spiked at the red, and the red and yellow. And I thought that was super interesting. And I want to explain the meaning. So I looked at the frequencies, the amplitudes, the qualities of all of this information. So I do an intuitive read, but I also look at the data and I track it. So here's what I feel the data was saying. When you're looking at, and the action appeared to me to be not so much in the red on the data charts, but in the yellow. But those two frequency ranges they work together in some ways, and I'll tell you how. The yellow, in my view, represents our non-physical experiences as a human being. That's our experience set, that range of frequencies. And so I'm using the color, but there are numbers involved here, but that's not important right now. So our emotions, our dreams, but also our astral experiences and anything that interacts with us from the astral. So that would include interdimensional energies. It would include entities, from dark to light. Whatever the details of this are, it's very individual how it expresses. But in general, it looks like that energy is super up for us right now. And when that potent amplitude came through of that energy, because it was 80 something, and that's high, it's a strong energy. And when that came through, what happened? The white resonance quality immediately peaked. It just shot straight up. So what that tells me is it's like the white resonance energy, which in my view is our non-physical expression, but also our experience with the deeply spiritual, like at that level. So our non-physical experience of higher dimensional states, of nature in its connection with God, with divinity, with the creator. And this energy, it oftentimes backs us up on the Schumann when events happen. So when the astral energy and our thoughts and our emotions spiked, divinity came with us. Because when quality rises, it's like something showing up in a more present and tangible way. That's the aspect of interpretation that matters here and right now. Now you might notice the Buddha behind me. I thought that was appropriate today, because this is it's an image of a being that is, working to be one-on-one or is one-on-one with the God presence, like Jesus. And so to me today, that's comforting, and that is the energy that I'm talking about that I saw in the Schumann. So it's amazing how I ended up recording in this location, and it's perfect for the interpretation. So now I want to talk about the astrology that matches with this, and then blend the interpretations together, including how I saw the matrix shift this week. So there is an aspect that's going on right now that's kind of on its own. There's a lot of planets in the sky, okay, in Western astrology, tropical, that are gathered together around like the later teens, or that are gathered together like around 0 or the high 20s, okay? So now we have an aspect that's like working all on its own. And so if you have planets in the single degrees, you're not as much affected. You're affected by what's going on, but your influences it's not as potent for you, like the squares going on, Pluto at 0 and so on, with the squares with like Jupiter, Venus, Uranus, Saturn, but not in that order necessarily. So what's happening here is that there's a group of us that are being affected by this potent T-square, and I'll tell you where that is. The potent T-square is between Ceres and Pholus. They're both, and all of this is all at 7 degrees exact. Ceres and Pholus are in Capricorn, and they're at 7 degrees and they're retrograde. And right now, each of them is square the nodes. So it's a T-square. So the nodes are in, the north node's in Aries. So that's our energy for the future, but it's also, like where we can get attacked in the world and spiritually. And there's a lot of Mars energy there right now. Mars is the marshal, the general, the leader of the armies. So, and the initiator of projects. So there could also be great passion, right? So where do you want to put your focus? Both of these are also square the south node, which is our history, our past experiences in this lifetime, but also our past lifetimes. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So basically, they're also square where we have our tool sets that we can bring forward for this lifetime, or that we develop in this lifetime. And when you bring those forward, especially when they're from the past in this life or other lifetimes, what can happen is that there's an uncovering of what these tool sets are from our shadow energy. And that involves a lot of work to do. And then when these express, if we haven't done the shadow work, they can just kind of fly out of left field and be active. And so where that happens for you is where this is unconscious energy. So this T-square is bringing it to our consciousness, and right now it's super challenging because usually the nodes move retrograde, so all the energy would be moving in the same direction, but right now the nodes are retrograde, and for them, that means they're moving direct. So the only thing that you need to know about that, if you aren't an astrology person, is this. It's super challenging, but it will also generate energy. So you want to do the best you can, okay? And stay God-focused and connected in your life. Stay focused on your soul. Stay with your prayer. Stay with your meditation. Stay with your soul-connected 0-point energy work. And that's, in my view, the best way to get through this. So what is Ceres and Pholus together? Because this is a very potent energy. And if you have key planets or bodies, near 7 degrees by 3 degrees. So if you have anything from 4 degrees to 10, this is important. And because the nodes are involved, it's really, from about 27 degrees to 17. Okay. So it gets a wide swath of us, actually. Now, here's the deal. Pholus, that's the energy of being present at a massacre. And that's the story of Pholus. And so if you're present at a massacre, like Pholus was, he was a present at a massacre of his own people. He was a centaur. And he was there the day all the centaurs were killed. And the only one that wasn't was Chiron. That's a longer story. But through God's grace, Chiron was eventually passed from his wounds. So what are your choices? What are your actions? That's really up right now. And Ceres is the great mother. She's the mother she's the aspect of the divine mother that controls the seasons and that's deeply involved with her child, with her children. So she's the mother that went to go get Persephone out of the underworld. She's a badass, okay? She got Persephone back from Pluto, back from the ruler of Hades, essentially. And so this is a quality that we women have. We have the ability to face the darkness and to succeed and to win in the non-physical. And our greatest weakness, and for those with feminine energy, but our greatest weakness is listening to the lies and being fooled, being tricked. And where does that happen? It happens out of our compassion, our ability to resonate with the victim, our care for the underdog. And where does this come? It comes from, the fact that women are born with we're born with the innate ability to nurture. That's our focus. And to nurture the baby and make sure the baby survives and on and on. So, and this is why people stay away from the mama bear, right? With her bear. I've driven in the west coast of the United States and up into the forest, right? In the western states. And, we were doing that. We saw a grizzly bear cub. And you know what we did? We got the heck out of there. That's what we did. We got the heck out of there. We were in a car and we got the heck out of there. Because you see a grizzly cub alone, the mother is looking for it, and she's not going to be happy if you're anywhere nearby, car or not. Okay. So we have the backing of divinity as we face the energies of what do you do if you are suddenly and shockingly present at someone's death, at the death of a group of people? What are your choices? So there are variations of the story of what Pholus did, but in some variations he handles the poison arrow. I'm not going to go into all the details, and accidentally drops it on his foot and dies. So that's where we get the word folly from. He made a stupid decision, right? He'd been drinking wine and was putting away. He was trying to do something safe, but he didn't have his wits about him. In another version of the story, he went out to bury his fellow centaurs and knew the risk, but still decided to honor their dignity and to create dignity for them. And so in the process of burying his centaurs, some blood or a piece of the arrow fell onto him and he perished, okay? Because it was a poison. It was a poison arrow, a poison injection that his people suffered. Now, when you have stories like this from our deep, deep cultural roots, okay, in Western civilization, what you want to look at is the flip side. This is a story from the shadow. So you look at it and you go, how do I elevate that in my life? What are my choices? And so what are his choices? Could he have waited to handle the arrow? Yes, he could have, right? Could he have chosen not to drink so much wine? Well, you could say he was just purely aligning with his primal nature. Yes, but he was one of the most civilized centaurs besides Chiron. It was just him and Chiron. Could he have brought the God force within him to that? Because he was part human. So the answer is, yeah, he could have. He could have listened, right? Instead of to his primal nature, he could have listened to divinity within. Now, maybe divinity guided him to do these things, because those things can happen too. Those things can happen where divinity says, I need you to be there and do this, but we're all human, or in his case, a human and horse. And, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have failures. How do you recover from that if it happens? And this is where we shift to the energy of Ceres. And Ceres is saying, well, we can face the darkness and we can survive. And we do that by being perfectly aligned with the truth of who we are, with the divinity within. And in my view, this is what Jesus Christ was teaching us, right? He was teaching us, how do you properly align? How do you perfect that? How do you be that? Because that's what he was. That's how he did his healing, and I guess he had a special dispensation for that because that was a miracle, right? That he was able to embody that at that time on Earth. So now let's talk about the matrix change, because on my private group video, I talked about the last matrix change. If you want access to that, you can join my subscriber group on Substack, or you can join my membership on YouTube, okay? Because both of those get the same videos, the private videos. But in this matrix change, it was actually much different. And it was, I feel like I was listened to, okay? I feel like it was special, and it made me laugh, and, evolving out of the last matrix change that I mentioned. And here's what happened. As I was walking, there was again a new feature on the land and in, the creations of humans, right? Buildings, streets, and all these kind of things is what I'm talking about. But this time, it was well done. It looked like good construction. It was helpful. And it looked nice. And it was like a little slice, right? A little slice. Other people wouldn't have noticed it and might not still notice the helpful nature, the incredible functionality that this matrix change brought. But some will, right? Some will. And that's why I chose to focus on this slice of astrology, the important but incredibly potent aspect. You got all these big bodies going on, right, with their squares and so on, the big planets. But here's what I want to tell you about astrology that I've noticed over time. The male planets do the action, but the women, it's the women that set the context and the tone. And right now, Ceres, the mother, okay, and you can see her as Mother God, but Ceres, the divine mother, is at the top of the traditional chart, just as Pluto is about to enter the sign she resides in. And she's bringing it, okay? She's bringing the courage. She's bringing the wisdom, and Pluto's there to wreck some stuff. Pluto's there to wreck some stuff. And Ceres is looking at the energy saying, we are in a group massacre. What are your choices? God will guide you, the creator, the wisdom of divinity within you. You have to ask, And it's interesting. I'm going to tell another story. And this is going to be on my private channel. I'm going to talk about the spiritual things that have been going on for me I'm going to use these to do teachings because I have a family member in the hospital that's, they're going to pass on. And there have been some very, very interesting spiritual things that have happened and that my guides have talked to me about. And, because things are different with this family member than you would think that they would be. And it doesn't surprise me, having mental knowledge of certain things and understanding, the understanding of the mind to put it in context. But it was new. It was different. Okay. It was different. And I really want to talk about this because we're going to do some spiritual teaching on the private YouTube channel and the Substack membership channel in the next few days and maybe later today, depending on how busy I am. Okay. So I love you guys, and I'm so grateful for your presence here. And I'm so grateful, for this journey together. Thank you for your comments, your shares, your likes, please share my videos. It's especially on, YouTube and Substack. People are sharing my stuff great on X, and I just so appreciate you for doing that. It's, YouTube is what it is, and but Substack is a great mechanism for me because I can add pictures and point out things pictorially. So you get a little more on Substack. You get the pictures if I don't have time to put them all in the video, and so it's all good. It's all good. So much gratitude for being alive, for being here on earth in this precious moment, and for the loving connection with God, the creator, my own soul. I just want to give gratitude for that right now because it's awesome. And I write a lot about resilience and developing inner resilience. This is what I'm talking about. We're entering a critical period where being able to fall back on that is going to help you so much. So, whatever that is for you, I have a lot of teachings on it on Rumble and YouTube. Actually, my videos, a lot of them are on BitChute too now. But on YouTube, I've got all these playlists. And you can find the videos on Rumble too, but where I teach about energy and how to connect with your soul. And I have a whole series of meditations. And I had a lady tell me, because I'm going to just say a personal story here, because of being in the hospital, and having weird schedule, I ended up talking to one of my subscribers who lives in Thailand. It's so cool. I'm so grateful for that. Like somebody in Thailand who isn't from Thailand, but from another country reads my stuff, and we are working out something for her related to her subscription. And then we ended up not even talking about that and just had this amazing interaction. And so, because, she pinged me and it was 2 a.m. And I said, look, it's 2 a.m., but when's there going to be a better time to talk to someone in Thailand? When you have day-night reversal with the USA. So we ended up talking from 2 to 3 in the morning or something. Why not? Why not? When we're pinged to show up, that's part of the answer, in my view, to these things. When we're pinged to show up, something perfect can happen, like that change in the matrix that I saw. It was neat, man. It was great. I looked at that and I just said thank you. Thank you. To my own soul, to God, to the Creator, to my spiritual guidance team, the ever-present angels that I work with, specifically. And it gave me a sense of comfort, and that's what I'm going to call this section of the video. It gave me a sense of comfort that we can get through this. We can make solid creations, beautiful creations, and they're going to be lasting and enduring. They will have legs to them. And it's not just the Divine Mother that's in this relationship with the North Nodes. The asteroid Varuna is also, within a degree, and that's justice from the hand of God. And it's in a less intense aspect, but is in an energized aspect. It's intense with the Divine Mother, but it's energized in relation to the nodes and the North Node, and beneficial to that, to bringing up drama. More on that later. Thank you, guys. My love. I'm sending my love.